All right, strap yourselves in for another deep dive. This time, we're going headfirst into the world of VR and AR.
Oh, yeah, virtual reality and augmented reality.
We've got a whole bunch of sources lined up, explainer videos,
Reviews.
reviews from VR enthusiasts, reports on like the newest stuff they're doing with it.
Cutting-edge applications.
Yeah, cutting edge, and even some critiques, some pieces that really make you think.
Yeah.
So we'll break it all down.
We'll try to figure it all out. What is VR? What is AR? How are they different?
Yeah.
What's the impact? And then we'll talk about what's great about it, but also, some of the concerns.
Yeah, exactly.
The good and the bad.
The good and the bad.
Yeah.
So I guess we got to start with definitions, right?
Of course, the basics. Always start with the basics.
So, our trusty CNET explainer video, it tells us that VR basically like replaces your world with one that's made by a computer.
With a digital world.
Yeah, so you could put on like a
It's a
headset.
VR headset.
And all of a sudden you're, walking around in ancient Rome.
Right, or on the moon.
Yeah.
You can go anywhere.
AR, this is a little different, right?
A little bit different. AR adds stuff
Mm-hmm.
to your world, to your real world view.
Right.
So I always think of like Google Maps directions.
Okay.
When they pop up on your phone screen, that's AR.
Right.
But AR is evolved. It's becoming more sophisticated, more complex.
Yeah.
I mean, remember Pokemon Go?
Yeah.
Those little Pokemon characters, they seem to be, inhabiting real places.
Right.
And I think that's just a glimpse of what we can expect in the future.
Yeah.
It's going to get a lot more exciting.
That location indexing or whatever they call it, it's like it's part of your world, right?
Yeah.
Because it's not just floating,
Right.
Like the CNET video, they're saying, like, imagine a dinosaur
A virtual dinosaur.
in your living room.
Yeah. And you move around.
Yeah.
The dinosaur stays put.
Right.
It's incredible. It's like a whole new dimension to your living space.
It's like having a pet T-Rex.
Yeah, exactly, but without the mess.
Yeah, exactly, without all the problems. And that's really just the beginning, right?
Oh, absolutely. This is just the tip of the iceberg.
Because you think about AR glasses.
That give you information about, the things you're looking at, or head-up displays.
Yeah.
Projecting data right into your field of vision. I mean, this is changing. This is changing how we see the world.
Right.
How we interact with our surroundings.
And we've come a long way, from those like really clunky early VR headsets.
Oh, I remember those.
And now we have these sleek devices. So how do we get here?
How did we get here? Well, there's a great video, the virtual reality timeline video. It takes us on that journey.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
It shows the evolution.
Yeah, it starts with the Oculus Rift DK1 way back in 2013.
Oh, wow.
Low resolution, limited field of view. It was tethered to a PC.
Oh, wow.
It was clunky.
So that was like the first like commercially available one, or?
Yeah, one of the first.
Okay.
Yeah, and then you fast forward to today, and we have, headsets like the Meta Quest 3, lighter, more powerful, wireless, completely wireless.
It's like comparing like a brick phone
I know, right?
to like the latest smartphone.
It's incredible how far we've come.
Yeah, but it's not just looks, right?
No.
It's got to be comfortable.
It has to be comfortable.
Yeah, wireless.
Yeah, you want to be able to move around freely.
Right.
And I think that shift towards, wireless and more comfortable designs, that's key for VR to really reach a wider audience.
Right, to go beyond just, the tech enthusiasts.
Yeah, you have to make it appealing to everyone.
Right.
And that's what companies like Meta are trying to do, right? They're trying to balance, immersion with comfort
Right.
and accessibility. They want to make it so anyone can enjoy VR.
That's interesting. So the design really matters.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, the design choices they make, they're not just about aesthetics. They're about user experience.
Right.
They want to make these devices less intrusive, more appealing to the average person.
And the virtual reality timeline video, it even shows how like the inside of the headsets have evolved.
Oh, yeah. They go into detail about the components.
Yeah, and I'm not gonna repeat the creator's description
Oh, I know what you're talking about.
of the Oculus Rift DK2.
It was pretty funny.
But let's just say it was a far cry from like the sleek futuristic designs we see today.
Right.
Yeah, and it's funny, but it's also like it's interesting because it shows like how much they've learned about like, how to make it more comfortable.
Right.
Ergonomics.
Yeah, ergonomics, user experience. I mean, those early headsets, they were bulky.
Yeah.
They were uncomfortable. People were getting motion sickness.
Right.
They were getting fatigued. You can't have that.
Yeah.
So the latest models, they prioritize comfort and ease of use, which is essential for people to actually want to use it.
Okay, so speaking of people wanting to use it, I think like the most exciting thing that people are looking at is gaming.
Oh, VR gaming.
VR gaming.
Yeah.
And this virtual reality timeline video, they show games like Half-Life, Alex, VR chat.
Where you're not just playing the game,
Yeah.
you're in the game.
Yeah.
You're living it.
But the question is it all it's cracked up to be?
Well, that's the big question, isn't it?
Yeah.
VR gaming, it does offer incredible immersion.
Yeah.
You really feel like you're there.
Mm-hmm.
But the industry, it's facing some challenges right now.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Like what?
Well, a lot of the games, while they look amazing visually, they kind of feel like tech demos
Oh, okay.
or gimmicks
Okay.
rather than, fully fleshed out rich game experiences.
Right.
And then there's the whole issue of financial sustainability.
Oh, well,
Can these studios actually make money making VR games?
I see.
A lot of them are struggling.
Okay.
So it's a bit of a mixed bag right now.
So it's like a mixed bag because we have these two different perspectives. The virtual reality timeline video is like, yeah, it's going great, all this progress. But then virtual reality isn't fun anymore, is saying that, like, Meta, because they're so dominant, they're kind of stifling the creativity.
Interesting point.
And it's becoming more about, like, shallow experiences.
Yeah, maybe they're focusing too much on the casual gamer.
Right.
And not enough on, the hardcore manners who want those deeper, more complex experiences.
Yeah, I mean, are we losing something by just trying to get it to the most people?
It's a good question. I think that's a debate we need to have as an industry.
Yeah. Are we sacrificing depth for accessibility?
Exactly.
And what does that mean for the future of VR gaming?
Big questions, no easy answers.
Yeah.
But I think it's worth talking about.
It is. I mean, these are questions that we're going to have to keep kind of wrestling with.
Absolutely, as this technology keeps evolving.
Right. But for now, let's maybe shift gears a little bit
Okay.
and talk about AR, augmented reality.
Okay, yeah. So while VR has been, making a splash in the gaming world,
Mm-hmm.
AR has been quietly, infiltrating our lives.
Really?
Yeah.
I mean, like, how is it in my life?
Well, think about it. Google Maps, Google Lens,
Oh,
even Snapchat filters, that's AR.
oh, that's AR. Yeah.
And the Simple Learn video, they point out all these examples.
Okay.
They're showing how AR is really just becoming a part of our everyday experiences.
And that's really just the beginning, because in the real reason virtual reality keeps failing video, they're talking about AR glasses.
Like the rumored Apple Glass.
Yeah, Apple Glass.
That could be as common as smartphones.
Really?
Yeah, imagine that. Walking down the street and information about everything around you,
Mm-hmm.
landmarks, shops, restaurants, it all pops up right in your field of vision.
So it's like it's building on what we're already doing, right?
Yeah. Smartphones, they paved the way for us to accept, digital information on top of our world.
Right.
AR is the natural next step.
It's like that next step where it's like even more blurred, the line.
Exactly.
But then that raises another question, right?
Yeah.
Like, what happens when, like, everything's digital?
Right.
All this information.
Will we be overwhelmed?
Yeah, will we be able to even, like, see what's important?
Will we be able to filter out the noise?
Right.
That's a good question.
And what about privacy?
Oh, that's a huge one.
Yeah, if they can track us everywhere we go, everything we look at.
Yeah, that's a little scary.
Yeah.
I mean, these companies, they'll know everything about us.
Yeah.
Where we go, what we buy, who we talk to.
So these are some big questions we're going to have to think about as we keep going through this.
Definitely.
In this world of VR and AR.
And we're just scratching the surface here.
Yeah, we're just getting started.
There's so much more to explore.
There is.
Yeah, it's a fascinating world, isn't it? But it's complex.
It is.
And, as these technologies become more powerful, more widespread,
Right.
we really have to think about the impact they're going to have, both good and bad,
Yeah, for sure.
both positive and negative.
And I think, speaking of the negative,
Yeah.
some of the critiques we've seen, like the virtual reality isn't fun anymore video.
That one was pretty critical.
Yeah, it was. They're not holding back.
No, they're not.
They're really raising some serious concerns
Yeah.
about some of the potential downsides of VR.
Yeah, like addiction.
Oh, that's
People
pretty-
spending too much time in these virtual worlds
Yeah.
and kind of becoming isolated,
I could see that happening.
detached from the real world.
Yeah, and especially, I mean, think about how social media has already
Hey,
kind of contributed to those feelings of loneliness.
absolutely.
some people-
Yeah.
So, could VR make that even worse?
I think it's a valid concern. I mean, it's possible that these, immersive virtual worlds could become even more more seductive, more enticing
Yeah.
than the real world for some people.
Right.
And it's not just about the amount of time
Right.
that people spend in these environments.
Yeah.
It's also about the quality of the experiences.
That's a good point.
Are we designing these virtual worlds to promote, real human connection?
Right.
Or are we creating these echo chambers where
Okay.
people just, reinforce their existing biases
Right.
and become even more divided?
And that Damie Lee video, the virtual reality is not what you think.
Mm-hmm.
They touch on that too.
Yeah, they talk about how VR could create
Yeah.
this kind of subjective space
Yeah.
where everyone's kind of isolated in their own little bubble.
Right. Their own little custom reality.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that raises some really interesting questions about, what is reality?
Whoa.
Yeah.
That is a big question.
What happens to, our shared sense of truth
Right.
when we can all just create our own versions of the world?
Yeah, that's pretty deep.
It is.
But, let's maybe bring it back down to earth for a second. Because
Okay.
one of the things that virtual reality isn't fun anymore talks about is the potential impact on kids.
Oh, right. Yeah.
And they mention a study from the University of Liverpool
Okay.
that found like a link between, VR use and eye strain.
In children.
Yeah, in kids.
Yeah, that's worrying.
Yeah, because their eyes are still developing.
Right, exactly. And their brains, it's not just about eye strain, it's about the impact on their development,
Right.
on their cognitive development, their social skills, their physical health even.
Yeah. And Meta just lowered the age limit
Oh,
for
really?
their headsets, which has kind of like made this debate even more heated.
Yeah.
Because is it ethical
Right, is it right?
to expose young children to this technology when we don't really know what the long-term effects are?
Yeah, I mean, where do you draw the line?
Right. Where do you draw the line?
It's a tough question.
It is.
And there are no easy answers.
Right.
But I think it's really important that we're having this conversation,
Yeah.
that we're thinking about these things, especially when it comes to kids.
Mm-hmm.
We need more research. We
Yeah.
need clear guidelines
Right.
for responsible use.
Right. We need to be careful.
We do.
But it's not all doom and gloom.
No, of course not.
Right. I mean, we've also seen some really cool examples of how VR can be used
For good, yeah.
for good. Yeah, like that WPBF 25 news video. They were showing how, like, law enforcement agencies are using VR
Oh,
to train officers,
interesting.
like, for real-world situations.
Oh, wow.
Mental health crisis calls.
That's a really good idea.
Yeah, because it creates this safe environment
Right.
where they can practice,
Yeah.
like, de-escalation techniques.
Yeah.
And they can actually get to experience it
Wow.
from the perspective of the person in crisis.
That's powerful.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing. It's helping them develop empathy and better communication skills,
Right.
which is so important in those situations.
Absolutely.
It can really make a difference.
Yeah, that's really encouraging.
Yeah, it's a good reminder that, VR can be,
A force for good.
a force for good.
Not just, for fun and games.
Right. It has the potential to change
Yeah.
how we train professionals, educate students, even, provide therapy
Wow.
for people who are struggling.
Yeah,
It's pretty amazing.
it is.
We've covered a lot of ground here, from, all the exciting potential of VR and AR to, some of the very valid concerns
Yeah.
about their impact
On society.
on society, on individuals.
Mhm.
It's clear that these technologies are powerful
They are.
and they could be used for good or for ill.
Absolutely.
It's up to us to decide how we use them.
I think so.
And that brings us to, I think, to really understand
Mm-hmm.
how we got here.
Yeah.
It's helpful to look back
To the past.
to the history of these technologies.
Yeah, at the origins.
The virtual reality timeline video, it actually does a really good job.
Of taking us through the history.
Yeah, of taking us through the key milestones,
Yeah.
starting with, like, the Sensorama machine in the 1950s,
Oh, wow.
which is like this early attempt to create
an immersive experience.
an immersive multi-sensory experience.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's fascinating to see how this idea
The virtual reality.
of virtual reality has been around
For so long.
for decades.
Yeah.
But the technology to actually make it work
Mhm.
has only recently become available.
Right. It's taken a while to catch up.
Yeah. And it's interesting, too, how the development of VR and AR
Yeah.
has been driven by, like, all these different motivations, like, obviously entertainment and gaming,
Of course.
but also, like, military training,
Right.
simulations,
Sure.
and even scientific research.
Mhm.
So it's like all these different things have kind of come together
Yeah, to push the boundaries.
to shape these
This
technologies.
is what's possible.
And that's led to this incredible variety of devices and experiences that we have today.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's amazing.
It is.
But let's focus on the present for a moment
Okay.
and talk about some of the key trends that are shaping the future.
The future of ER and AR.
Yeah, and I think one of the most significant things is just how much more accessible they're becoming.
Right.
You know, VR headsets are getting cheaper. Our experiences are like they're everywhere on our phones.
Right. They're integrated into our daily lives.
Yeah, so this wider accessibility, it's opening up,
A lot of possibilities.
yeah, all these new possibilities for how we use and interact with these technologies.
Exactly. And the real reason virtual reality keeps failing video, they make this interesting point.
Okay.
They say that, mass adoption of VR, it won't truly happen until these experiences are so compelling, so good, that they rival or even surpass real-life experiences.
Whoa.
Yeah, it's a bold statement.
Yeah, it is.
But it makes you think.
Yeah, it does.
What would it take for VR to truly become like the dominant form of entertainment?
Right.
Or even, a way of life for people.
I mean, it's a good point because if it's not as good as real life,
Right.
why bother?
Yeah.
You know?
And it's not just about the quality of the experiences themselves. It's also about the infrastructure,
Okay.
the ecosystems around these technologies.
Right.
We need to make it easier for people to create content,
Right.
to share content, to access content.
Mm-hmm.
And we need to make the interfaces more user-friendly.
Right, so anyone can use it.
Exactly. Even people who aren't tech savvy.
Yeah.
And that video, it even suggests that something like Neuralink.
Neuralink.
Yeah. Elon Musk's brain-computer interface.
Oh, wow.
That could be the key to like the next level of immersion.
Really?
Yeah. Imagine a world where we can just plug our minds
Whoa.
directly into VR.
And it's like indistinguishable from reality.
Exactly. It's a mind-blowing concept.
It is.
And it raises a lot of questions.
Yeah, it does.
Ethical questions, philosophical questions.
Right.
Like, would we even want to live in a world like that?
Yeah, where's the line?
Where does reality and virtuality begin? What would happen to our sense of self,
Right.
our relationships, our understanding of the world?
Yeah, I mean, these are questions that we're going to have to keep asking.
Absolutely.
As these technologies evolve.
As we move forward into this brave new world.
Right. But for now, I think, let's step back a little bit
Okay.
and think about the bigger picture. How are VR and AR shaping our perception of reality, our relationships with each other, even our sense of what it means to be human?
Big questions.
Big questions.
Yeah.
I know, it really is like mind-bending, almost,
It is.
to think about all this stuff.
Yeah.
As we kind of dig deeper into this world of VR and AR.
Deeper down the rabbit hole.
Yeah, it feels like,
It's like we're living in a science fiction movie.
It does. It does. It really does.
And it's real.
It's real. That's the thing.
This is our reality.
Yeah, this is happening
It's
now.
happening now.
Yeah. And that's why it's so important.
It's so important to talk about
To
it.
talk about it, to like really think about it.
Think critically
Because
about these technologies.
We're not just talking about gadgets anymore.
No.
This is something that could really change everything.
It could change the world.
The world, our relationships, how we see ourselves.
How we understand what it means to be human.
I mean, it's exciting.
It is exciting.
But it's also a little bit scary.
It is a little bit scary.
Yeah.
But I think, one of the things that I've been thinking about is that we're not just along for the ride. We're not just passengers,
We have a choice.
We have a choice. We have agency.
Yeah.
It's not just about like passively consuming these technologies.
We can shape the future.
We can shape how they're developed.
Absolutely, how they're used.
We need to be active participants.
Yeah, and I think that's really important to remember.
I agree.
We're not just powerless.
No.
We can actually make a difference.
We can.
And I think that's what, what this deep dive has been all about.
It's about empowering people.
Yeah, empowering people to think critically.
To ask questions.
To ask questions.
To challenge assumptions.
And to make their voices heard.
Exactly.
Because the choices we make today, they're going to shape the future.
They will.
Of these technologies.
Of ER, of AR.
Of our world.
Of our world.
And I think, it's been really interesting to kind of explore all these different perspectives.
We've seen the good, the bad.
Yeah, the good, the bad, the potential.
The potential.
The challenges. And, I think we've really just scratched the surface.
We have. There's so much more to learn.
But hopefully this has given people like a starting point.
A foundation.
Yeah, a foundation to kind of start thinking about this stuff.
To start their own exploration.
Yeah, and to keep the conversation going.
Absolutely, because this is a conversation that needs to continue.
Yeah, this isn't over.
No, it's just beginning.
It's just beginning, and I think it's a conversation that we all need to be a part of.
I agree.
So thank you for joining us on this deep dive.
Yeah, thanks for listening.
into the world of VR and AR.
It's been a pleasure.
Keep exploring, keep asking questions,
And keep shaking the future.
and we'll see you next time.